Hello, my name is Kelly McCown. I'm the teacher, author, and owner of Teaching Math and More LLC. Today on the Teaching Math and More channel, we're talking about how to use vocabulary in math class. What math vocabulary do you teach to your students? Are you teaching vocabulary terms? Vocabulary can be often overlooked and not taught to students in an effective way. It's actually pretty easy to implement teaching math vocabulary. Let's look at 3 ways to use vocabulary in your classroom. Math is a language that needs to be learned to be mastered. There are 3 ways that math terms should be taught. When you learn a new language, like mathematics, you learn to read it, you learn to write it, and you learn to speak it. Do your students know how to read math? Do your students know how to write math? Do your students know how to talk about math? Let's look at 3 tools to teach math vocabulary. Reading math vocabulary happens daily for students in math class. They need to understand what they're reading and often use context clues by looking at an unfamiliar vocabulary word and reading before and after it. You could use a math word wall to teach students to read vocabulary words, or you can use vocabulary math centers that involve and give students tasks to read and write vocabulary in context. Another great idea for reading vocabulary is looking up articles about math terms that you use in the real world. Writing vocabulary is the next step after reading. Students need to be able to read and write vocabulary words before properly talking about terms. Having students keep a math vocabulary journal or notebook is a great way to encourage weekly math words being learned. Students learn to use words correctly and provide definitions, facts, examples, and non-examples. Talking vocabulary in the classroom. This is important for students to do in your classroom because it's probably the only place that they're talking about math terms. You can do this with student-created word walls. The students put up the examples, the facts, the definitions, and they talk about it. What is the definition? Why is that the definition? How does it relate to other math terms? Give me an example. Give me a non-example. What are the facts that we know about this term? How can we relate it to other terms? This is student-created for students to talk about vocabulary in your classroom. Your students need to 1. Read vocabulary daily in your classroom, 2. Write vocabulary daily in your classroom, and 3. Talk about math vocabulary daily in your math class because you're probably the only one teaching math to them. So teach them the vocabulary words too. For more information about the Math Vocabulary Notebook, Centers, and Word Wall, be sure to sign up for our VIP teacher emails. This concludes our series on teaching math for understanding. Thank you for subscribing and watching our channel, and we'll see you next time.